I think it's easy to sum this game up in that it was disappointing from the perspective of we'd set ourselves to against a good team, or who everyone rates as a good team, even though they didn't show that on the ladder. They were 1-4, but their 3 losses have been against the top 3 teams. So we knew that going in, so we felt that was a really good test for us. We couldn't be better prepared coming off two wins in a row, and we wanted it to be tested against a team away from home because that's what great teams do. They play well away from home. Got jumped a little bit early. Hender was up and about, but we were able to pull back a couple of goals late in that first quarter. So only 2 goals down, maybe 2.5 goals down, quarter time. So it wasn't disastrous. And then the second quarter, I thought we started to settle into stride a little bit. Till about halfway through, we missed a couple of opportunities, and then unfortunately there was a fumble inside our 50, which went whooshka down the other end for a goal when we were, a goal to us would have put us within maybe a kick, and it goes out to 3 kicks. So that was pretty disappointing. Then at half time, we sort of picked up there was a few things going on that were a little bit different than what we've seen in other teams. So we addressed that from a strategic point of view, which didn't quite work for us. I reckon the boys got a little bit confused about what was going on and sort of were thinking more about that than playing the game by the looks of it. So an 8-2 third quarter just blew the game open. So 3/4 time, we're 68 points down. So I'd sort of put it on the boys just to make sure we didn't get blown right out of the water. And last quarter was 2 goals, 2 apiece. So they showed a bit of ticker, I thought, fighting the game out. But just disappointing for a quarter and a half where they kicked about 11 goals to maybe 2. There's the difference in the game. I reckon the biggest issue was they're a good side. They played well. They played to their best of their ability. They brought in a guy called Billy Harton that's played quite a number of games of AFL footy, hasn't played all year, comes out and gets best on ground first game. On top of what they've already got, just complimented, and they got confidence out of all that, and they all rose to the occasion. And being an experienced team that played in the grand final last year, naturally, you're always wary of what they can actually produce, and they did. They produced at the right time. Because a loss for them, gee whiz, it's a long way back from 1-5 for the season when they're touted as the premiership favourites. So, I thought they did what they needed to do, but got some real confidence in the meantime, and a couple of ins for them. Even that McInerney that came in, kicked a couple of goals, looked better than what some of the other boys have been doing. So when you get all your team contributing, which we showed against Norwood and Centrals, you can do anything. And that's where we need to think about that as a footy club too. Like, you go onto their home deck, they have a bit of a run on for a quarter and a bit. We were competitive for 2.5 and for the 2.5 quarters. So you go, well, we've just got to try and push out for 3 to 4 quarters, which is what we're aiming to do, to be a good side. And let's not forget, we lost Beachy. Like, Beachy's our most experienced player. Kicked 3 goals a week before, won us the game, and then he goes out, and we bring in Nick Steele for his first game, and Nick wasn't terrible, had 3 shots at goal, but he don't kick goal. So there's a difference. So he could have kicked the 3 goals that Beachy was kicking, but he didn't because he's got less experience. So that's what you're dealing with as well. So as long as the members and supporters understand, it's a bit of a journey, but don't think that I'm not bitterly disappointed in what happened. But I've got to, as the coach and trying to drive this team in a positive direction, I've got to think about what's the right way to handle this sort of stuff going forward. And we'll continue to educate, we'll continue to train hard. We've got a week off, so we'll use that week to just refresh a little bit, educate a bit more, work on a few more things, and hopefully we come out. Because we've got a big run coming up now. We've got some good teams to come up against, Eagles, Port, South, the next 3 weeks. So what a great opportunity to go against the better teams, and I think we've come a bit further than what people think, so hopefully we can show that for longer against some quality teams. I reckon our team defence was really disappointing, and we have done a lot of work on it, but just some weeks it breaks down. The opposition were telling me after the game that they actually spent a lot of time on their offence during the week, so they came up with a couple of things that I scout them naturally, and a couple of things they didn't do previously, and it came off for them. So sometimes that happens with players when you go literally on something you're going to work on. It actually works really well that week for you. And our defence hasn't been too bad. We've been keeping teams to Norwood and Central's 6 and 8 goals, but then we go and blow 19 on the weekend. So explain that in the space of 1 week. So that's where footy's a funny game. Other boys just a little bit off. Had a sniffle or a cold, or they just didn't seem to work with the same intensity that they had been. been up for a couple of weeks. It's hard to explain. Footy's an interesting game like that because there's a lot played above the shoulders, and that's clearly the case on the weekend for me. Yeah, I'm liking the looks of Lockie Squire. He's had 3 games back now. I rate him highly. Someone like a Luke Redfern's impressing me with his leg speed. As far as Stewie Taverner, got to get another game under his belt coming because he pulled out a couple of weeks ago. He's ill, and he didn't really get out of his sick bed till middle of the week again last week. So we just couldn't risk him. So whether you bring him back in because he looks really likely at the level. Jesse Johnson probably had his best game, and that was his first game in about 3 or 4 weeks. Lyndon Hupfeld played his first game in 6 weeks. If he had a kick straight, kicks 4 goals, kicks 4 behinds. So, but he looks likely. At least he's finding the ball, and you'd think he'll get his touch in a few weeks. So there's a bit down there. Bailey Chamberlain's playing okay. Young guy we'd love to get into the team at some stage. So there's quite a few boys knocking on the door. Tom Morris, it's been good for the last couple of weeks. We moved him to half back recently just to give him another string to his bow. So yeah, the seconds are going pretty well, aren't they? 4-2. It's pretty exciting. They're just finding a way to win. It was a pretty solid game on the weekend for the reserves. So that's promising. There's a bit of depth within the place. We've just got to, from my perspective, I'm trying to balance the best team, and I still think it's a work in progress. There's no one size fits all sort of thing at the minute, and coming up against the opposition that we've got over the coming weeks, I think we need to be aware of their strengths, and we've got to put out a team that might be able to hurt them in regard to that. So I need to look at that and try and balance that up. I suppose the form of Tommy Keogh's probably needs to be noted too. That's been good, hasn't it, last few weeks? 3 goals on the weekend, 4 goals the week before. That's exciting that he's starting to find a bit of form, as one of our key players. Gives us a chance if he's firing up forward.